In this video, we are going to recap on what we talked about in the previous video on acute stress. So we talked briefly about stress being stimuli and not the response, being the response and not the stimuli itself. We talked about how important it is to understand the difference. We talked about the arbitrary levels of essential, optimum and upper limit of stress. Now we are going to tackle chronic stress. This is also referred to as hidden stress or unseen stress. So, we are going to touch on the normal functioning of the body again. And in this regard, we have touched on it before. There is the level of essential stress, optimum stress, and the upper limit. We know that when we cross the upper limit, we crack up and we have problems. When we perform at optimum stress, we enjoy our life and we have a challenge and we feel good about it. So let's see where that takes us. So now let us look at chronic stress. Now we have got the same parameters again of optimum stress, essential stress, optimum stress and upper limit. But on this graph you will see that the stress level is the same on the y-axis, but on the x-axis, instead of days and instead of hours, we have got time in months and years. So we are talking about a period where over the next few months or the next few years, how life affects us. Now if we look at on the yearly cycle, let's take a yearly cycle and you see the peak. You will find the peaks are about over a 10-year period. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's over a 10-year period. Now you will notice that over the 10-year period, consistently working day in and day out on the same job, you're doing the same routine, you have the same lifestyle, and then you wonder why you're slowly hitting the peak of upper limit, and you're beginning to wonder why you're beginning to crack up after about 5-6 years. So as part of that process, we are going to explain why that happens. You will find that we are now in a situation where the same work is being conducted, and without challenging your brain and trying to get you to solve this puzzle, which I normally do when I'm having an interactive chat, let me explain what is happening. You will find the same amount of peaks of the level of work every year. But as you notice the peaks being the same, you actually notice that the baseline is slowly moving up. Which means this could be due to age, this could be due to tiredness, this could be due to fatigue, this could be due to inadequate rest, this could be due to the stress impacting on the body and slowly influencing your body such that your base has moved up. So even though the same work is there, by the time you come to year 4, year 5, year 6, you're just managing, you're getting close to the upper limit. So you're struggling but managing, struggling but managing. When you get to years 7, 8, 9, 10, you're finding that you're managing, but you're having months where you're struggling a lot more. You're having to take more hours to finish the work. You're not being accurate. You're making silly mistakes which you have to correct, etc., etc. And by the time you come to year 9 and 10, the peak has gone way above the upper limit and you're struggling. And it is becoming obvious over the last 2, 3 years to your peers and to your supervisors and others at work that you are struggling. Now obviously doing the same job in the same lifestyle over the last 10 years, you do not know why this has happened. But once you understand that your base has moved, then it makes sense that, oh, hang on, I'm not recovering well. And this is how chronic stress catches up with us. Now because it's the same job, because it's over 10 years, because it is nothing new, nobody knows what to do. They think something wrong with you. So there is very little lack of understanding, very little patience, very little sort of forgiveness for your issue, because everybody thinks we are all working on the same job, but people forget that some people have got higher upper limits, so they don't get affected, but somebody with a lower upper limit gets affected. And this is the story of chronic stress. Now let us move on a bit and see how we can change that. The response to the stress stimuli and the physiological response does not change, but consistently over time you find your heart rate going up, your BP going up, your breathing rate going up, your sweating response increases, your breathing depth decreases, or you start breathing shallowly, and your skin resistance drops. So these people may notice that their blood pressure goes up. These people may notice that they are feeling fatigued. These people may notice that they are non-performing. These people may notice they have got other illnesses coming on, creeping on. They might notice there are sleep problems. They might notice they don't wake up fresh, etc., etc. These are only some of the things. It's not necessarily these things will happen. Nothing may happen, but their performance may drop. So, when we talked about symptoms earlier, the symptoms can present as physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, or all of these, or a combination of these. Now we talk about activity estimator. We are trying to give you some idea of what energy consumption happens when we do any physical, mental, emotional activity. So when we do any physical activity, this was a German study way back about 25 years ago that I had the privilege of reading it. Unfortunately, I don't have evidence at this point in time, but I'm going by memory. They decided to study how many units of energy is consumed when you do any physical activity. And they found that for every person, it was individual, they varied. But for that person, it was the same number of X units per hour. So when you give them physical activity, they performed it at the rate of X units of energy loss per hour. They decided to do mental activity where they did not put any pressure on them, no emotional stress of success, failure, marks, etc., nothing. They just said, do the best you can. And in that, they had a wide variety of mental problems that they had to solve. And they found that the energy consumption had jumped from X units per hour to 4 to 14x units per hour, depending on the complexity of the mental problems. Then they realized that emotional activity they could not estimate. They had difficulty estimating emotional activity. Now we have talked a lot more about this in the session on emotions, but my estimate is that emotional activity is also 4 to 14 times M, and I have given reasons for it in the video on emotions. So for those of you who may have missed it, please go back and look at the video on emotions. And the spiritual, I'm not prepared to hazard a guess. So I'm just recapping here what I said in the video on emotions. Now, based on that level, you find that this person who was having acute chronic stress and feeling over 10 years that he was having failures and not good at his job, etc., came about because slowly the physical change into physical, mental, emotional. When you're fearful, when you're angry, when you're upset, when you're irritable, that adds up to your energy loss, and slowly the poor performance continues over time. And it's the same job still. So now, what are the simple stress management tools that are used by most people? Again, we have the chart: essential stress, optimum stress, and upper limit. And we showed you the example earlier of chronic stress where the person after 7 or 8 or 10 years started non-performing. So the first thing the boss looks at and he says, look, Anand, you haven't had a break for a while. You've been working non-stop for the last 5-6 years. I think you need a break. You're struggling. I can see that. You're a good worker. I don't want to lose you. I don't want you to have burnout. So why don't you just go and have a break? Take an RRR, go on 4 weeks leave, take it easy, and then see how it feels. Now, at that stage, I am at the point where I know I need a break. But I'm not game enough to do it for whatever reason, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, whether I feel I will be a failure if I take a break, or whatever it might be. But I'm reluctant to take a break. Now, when it is enforced on me, I come home and I sleep like a log day and night. I recover, I eat good food, I do some exercise, I rejuvenate myself. And after 4 weeks, when I go back to work, suddenly I'm finding I'm back to my old self 5 years ago. And I'm wonderful. And I think, oh, all I needed was a good holiday. So I'm back to performing well. I'm at my optimum and enjoying life. And the boss says, very good, Anand, you did a great job. We want you back, etc., etc. Again, after 5, 6, 7 years without a break, I find I'm slowly getting to the upper limit again. It's creeping up on me. It's crawling on me. And I start finding myself difficult, etc. But this time I'm smart. I know I need a break. So I decide to have a break. Now I've given you this example of a break where I have a proper break and I move on. But the most common mistake we make sometimes is, now that I know I need a break, I think, all right, I'm going to save up myself for a big break. I will have a 6-week break this time instead of 4 weeks. I'm living in Australia, so what can I do? I'll go around Europe. I've never visited Europe. Let me go and look at all the sites, have a pleasurable holiday for 5 weeks, come back, rest for a week, and I'll be back at work. Now, most of the holidays are designed such that you'll do all the sightseeing during the day. You have hit the night spots at night. You enjoy your food, drink, shows, etc. You go to sleep and you're woken up again at 5 o'clock to take off. Because it is all adventurous, exciting, something you would look forward to, etc. You have the new stimulus and you feel it's great. But by the time you land back in Sydney in your home, you are a dead wreck, dead tired. And you need a holiday to recover from your holiday that you have had. And since that is the case, a week later when you go back to work, you're nearly as tired as you were, and very, very quickly you hit the upper limit again without realizing. Because what have you done in your holiday? You have burnt up all your energy. You have not rejuvenated yourself. You have not recaptured your old energy back, storehouse, recharge the batteries, etc. So this is the typical failing. I can tell you from myself. Of course, I was young and I thought I was coping, but I was not coping, if I want to share that with you now. My holidays to India was to optimize my time in India. So I would leave work on a Friday night. I have done it. I have left work at 4 o'clock, boarded a flight at 5:30, landed in India, spent all week, all the month, busy from 5 o'clock till 12, 1 o'clock at night, living on very little sleep. I was young, I was capable, I didn't think much about it. I was having a ball, I was enjoying myself. Land in Australia either Sunday night or first thing Monday morning, 6 o'clock, and head to work. And I thought I was doing great till by Wednesday, Thursday, I was getting the jet lag effects. And then at lunchtime, I would go and quickly steal a 20-minute nap. And then at the weekend, I would sleep tight and recover. And then I was normal. So I was having a holiday, a break from work, but my holiday was more hectic than my work. And I was burning the candle at both ends. Of course, mind you, I was younger, I was fitter, so I was more capable of handling that. But it still took its toll. Imagine myself today, if I tried to do that, I would be like, oh, I need to go to sleep 4 times a day. Because of age, of course, at this point in time. So this is how chronic stress catches up with us, and we confuse our stress and joy and other issues with energy loss. So what is the adaptation and training effect we can have? Our body is incredible. I have lived close to railway lines and railway stations where there is a constant noise of the train. It is pretty loud, I can assure you. But after a while, you get used to the noise and you go to bed with the noise there. It is well known for engine drivers, railway employees who are living next to the railway quarters. If they have a consistent stream of trains carrying on, they sleep well. The moment that routine is broken, they wake up like a shot in the arm and go, what's wrong? This train didn't go, there was no noise for half an hour, what's going on? Something wrong. Same thing with mechanical engineers who are into maintenance, or shippy engineers. A chief engineer on the ship can go to sleep nice and calm and relaxed to the tune of his engine. The moment the engine starts playing up in any way, shape or form, he's quick as a fiddle. Get out, get to the engine room and say, what's wrong here? The famous example was of our noted engineer Vishweswaraya. He was traveling in a train and he was lying with his ear to the window, and suddenly he heard a different sound. And he knew that there was a crack in the rail somewhere down the track because he could sense the difference in the vibration. Being an engineer and so clever, he picked it up. So he pulled the chain. When the chain was pulled, everybody came and asked, who pulled the chain? He said, I did. They said, why did you pull the chain, you silly old man? He said, look, I think further down the track there is a crack in the rail. You better go and check it. So the railway employees went and checked it, and lo and behold, there was a crack in the rail. If the train had continued, there would have been a massive accident. So background noise is good, but we can condition ourselves to living with it, and that is what is called adaptation. Physical stress, if I'm exposed to physical stress consistently, I can become stronger and fitter and adapt to it. But there is a point for each person. I can cope with maybe 20 kilos of extra stress. Somebody can cope with 30 kilos of extra stress, like the earlier example I gave you about a normal man and a weightlifter. So a certain point in time, that physical stress also can break us rather than make us fitter. Same thing with pressure of work. Intensity of work can make us stronger, or it can also break us over time. Okay, so what are the stress management strategies? Stress management strategies, again, the similar things happen. Lifestyle, good rest, good sleep, recovery, diet, etc. goes towards crediting you for better health. Body stressors like excess weight, bad habits like smoking, drinking, lack of exercise, etc. work on the body negatively. A positive attitude to life. So what I call the half glass full philosophy helps us go through the day and the stress of life a bit better. And if we focus on a new sunrise every day and look forward to the next day, then again we are doing all right. So these are the ways you can actually progress. So what are the stress management strategies? Time management, assertiveness, goal setting, communication, adaptation strategies, which we talked about earlier in the previous video: yoga, joy, tai chi, pranayam, meditation, exercise, massage, acupressure, religious festivals, laughing club. Again, I would like to reiterate here, laughing club, it's all about how we actually develop better breathing habits because we tend to laugh aloud. We relax the body, we let the lungs perform, and thus we get benefits. But people don't know about that. Laughing club people don't know about that. They just think they are laughing and they feel better. They think it's the happiness that does it. Then there's relaxation. Then the other management strategies are time management. Now, accurate time management. When I say accurate time management, one of the biggest problems we have is I book my schedule from 8 to 6 o'clock at night every day, my work routine. And then I do not allow for time for travel, time for tea breaks, time for toilet breaks. I have 6 to 7, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11 bookings. And then in between, I have to feel guilty about going to the toilet. I have to feel guilty of having a lunch break, or I rush my lunch, or I don't have lunch, I have it later. So you need to accurately manage your time so that it fits into your routine and it does not create undue stress. Otherwise, you are the causer of this stress. You are adding to your stress by doing these things. Prioritizing work, leisure, and family commitment. So you need to have a priority. If you are a work person and your career is important, you might decide to give 10 hours for work. You make sure your leisure and family commitments are readjusted. You cannot say, I will have 10 hours for work, I'll have 4 hours for family commitments, I'll have 1 hour for leisure and fitness, and then you don't have enough time for sleep. So you need to do all that. You need to learn to relax. You need to make sure you have a break from time to time as required. We would recommend you learn meditation, especially for chronic stress. Meditation is very helpful, and in the future videos we'll be talking about meditation. Learning to live in the moment. Now this is incredibly important, but very difficult. We are always thinking about what we are going to do later on, what we did yesterday, how that influenced us, why is it bothering us. But we very rarely live in the moment when we are doing something and focusing on that. No worrying. We are going to talk a bit more about worrying in the chapter on relaxation. So no worrying, just take my word for it. We'll redefine worry for you later. Of course, the half glass full philosophy. People can look at a half glass full and say, oh, that's half empty. They're right. But they're looking at the world differently, a bit negatively. Or they can look at it positively and say, yeah, that half glass is half full. So there are different views of it. Remember, there's a new sunrise every day. So whatever happened today, the worst has come. Something better can happen tomorrow. And this is a positive way of looking at life. The body responses, the physiological effects of relaxation. We all know that stress increases our heart rate, blood pressure, breathing rate, and increases sweating, and it reduces our depth of breathing and reduces the skin resistance. Relaxation is the opposite. It reduces the heart rate, reduces the blood pressure, reduces the breathing rate, reduces the sweating, increases the breathing depth. So we start breathing deeper and increases skin resistance. And these are known physiological effects that have been proven. Sleep and relaxation, we'll be talking a lot more about sleep and relaxation in the chapter on relaxation. But just suffice to say that the orange line which depicts the graph at minus 12% is the one on relaxation. If we go into deep sleep, it takes us 8 hours to get about 2 hours of deep sleep, and the maximum level of benefit we reach is minus 8% oxygen. So our body optimizes or relaxes enough that we can work on 8% less oxygen for the same function adequately. No dramas, don't worry. But when we go into deep relaxation, for a trained individual, within 5 minutes or 10 minutes they can go into deep relaxation. When they are at deep relaxation, however much period they stay there, for half an hour, 40 minutes, their body efficiency increases to minus 12% from the awake state. So if awake state is 100% use of oxygen, you can get up to minus 12% oxygen use, and that is an incredible difference that you can benefit from. And there's a big difference between that and deep sleep. Worry. Worry is a thought process where you are unable to influence the outcome of the situation. Now we are going to talk more about this in the next chapter, but just suffice that worry is a thought process. There is no action involved. It is purely a thought process where you are unable to influence the outcome of the situation. I have specifically included worry here, even though I have talked more about it in the next session on relaxation, purely because I feel it is very important to touch on a few times. So today I am touching it. You take note of it, and we will revisit that in the chapter in the video on relaxation. So what is the take-home message? A positive attitude to life, half glass full philosophy, a new sunrise every day. Stress is our response to stimuli. That is the most important thing I would like you all to take home today. Stress is not the stimulus itself, it is our response to stimuli. Remember, the stimulus can be physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, and the symptoms also can be physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual. Remember, chronic stress is very insidious. It creeps on you. You don't realize it at all. Remember, with chronic stress, there are less people understanding about other person's situation. So it is important for you to become more understanding about other person's situation so you can help people who may be suffering chronic stress situations. There has to be some consideration to chronic stress situations with empathy. So you need to understand that. Stress management strategies to be implemented would be relaxation, meditation, gratitude to God for giving us a good day, a beautiful day tomorrow, etc. This video was about chronic stress, the insidious stress, the one that creeps up on us. We don't realize it, whether it is the hassle at home, whether it's the kids screaming day in and day out and it's getting to you, whether it is work getting to you, whether it's your lifestyle getting to you. It is the same lifestyle, the same stress, the same kids over years of work. Suddenly you find that you're cracking up. This is typical chronic stress, and it shows in your lifestyle with small errors initially and larger errors later on. Forgetfulness, poor performance, health problems, etc. We have talked about understanding in-depth chronic stress and how you can recover in simple management strategies. We have talked about ways to recover through relaxation, meditation, lifestyle changes, better planning of time, etc., etc. Now, of course, doing it, we don't want you to suffer through chronic stress, but we want you to understand chronic stress. So if it is creeping up on you, you can take measures at a preventive level. And if you take these measures at a preventive level and stop the rot coming in, you will find you'll edge closer towards better health. If you put this practice into your life as a routine, you may find that now you're able to do it naturally without thinking about it. So let's say you stop worrying, let's say you don't overwork, let's say if you're overworked for this week, you take a good rest of the weekend and recover, then you're already on the path to becoming freer from disease. A bit about me. I practice from Pune. I've got an acupuncture natural therapy clinic. I teach Surya Namaskar. It takes us 8 hours over 8 weeks to teach Surya Namaskar properly. We have 70 plus levels of difficulty. We are in the process of bringing science to naturopathy. I'm a Shivambu practitioner and an expert at it, so I propagate that a lot. We are offering a free internet clinic for the last 4-5 years, where people can contact me on email and I try to connect with them and give them advice that can help them in their health. Presently that's going worldwide and a lot of people are benefiting. At least that's what they tell me. And now we are looking at this series on health where we are propagating freedom from disease, and we are coming to you with different topics every week. We are halfway there and we are getting a good response, and this goes on for another couple of months. So we expect that all of you would like to listen, understand, bring it into your life, bring change to your life, and hopefully head towards becoming freer from disease. On this note, let me say goodbye to you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, and I'll catch up with you next week.
Thank you, Anand Bapat, for your valuable information on health. This series is a 15 to 22 part series on developing oneself into a healthy person. This series will educate, guide, and provide support through our online educational and support services to enhance your health. All queries are welcome on the following email.
Download app Health Siren for all health solutions at your doorstep.